And you know what? If this conversation makes people uncomfortable, good. Because the truth usually does. We are here. Welcome. It's been a long time since I've been on a platform streaming or anything like that. So, I, don't expect to see a whole lot, but I'm doing this mainly to just document myself, whether anybody watches or not. But, if you are with me, in the opinion, great. And if you're not, great, because I am here to discuss things. I'm here to discuss the real world, okay? And just what's happening with it, because it's obviously a problem, right? It's obviously a problem that things are happening that we were told won't happen, right? Things are happening. So, um, you, there's just this line in American politics, and if you're not from America, then, um, you know, this this might make a little more sense to you, and it'll make sense to a lot of Americans, but they're all afraid to. Most people are afraid to talk about it, and there's just this line in American politics that no one is supposed to cross. Not your journalists, not your influencers, not politicians, not even the people sitting in their living rooms trying to understand why the world looks like it's collapsing. It's this line that separates safe conversations from dangerous truths. It's this line that turns ordinary citizens into targets the moment that they speak up. And it's guarded by labels that are powerful enough to end careers for a lot of people. The line that you're not supposed to cross is very, 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 very simple. You don't question Israel. You don't question the war, not the occupation, not the bombs, not the billions and billions of dollars in US aid, not the silence around civilian deaths, not the politicians that are clapping for foreign leaders harder than they clap for our own people. You don't question any of that. Because if you do, you're handed a label that shuts down the whole conversation. The whole conversation. You're an anti Semite. If you question any of those things, the label kicks in and it shuts down the whole conversation. Anti Semite. not because you hate anyone, not because you support violence, but because you dared to ask the wrong question. So meanwhile, Gaza burns and families are erased and hospitals are leveled and aid workers are killed and the world watches it all happen in real time like it's a late night show that we're too scared to turn off. And through all of it, the United States plays the same broken fucking record. Unwavering support. Unwavering support. There's no conditions. There's no accountability. There's no hesitation. Why? Because the pro-Israel lobby has wrapped itself so tightly around Washington that criticizing Israeli policy is treated like it's treason. Because politicians know exactly what happens when they step out of line. And because careers don't survive honesty, and because money speaks louder than morality. And because somewhere along the way, America stopped asking who our government works for. So tonight I felt like crossing that line, and not because it's provocative or the timing is right or because it's edgy, but because real conversations don't start until the forbidden conversations do. And if enough people start the forbidden conversation, then the people that are in power will have to listen. So tonight, we're stepping into a conversation that every major institution in this country wants to avoid, right? And they don't just want you to avoid it politely. Okay? They want you to treat it like it is a fucking radioactive zone. Don't question it. Don't look too closely. Definitely don't criticize it, because the second that you do, they've got a ready-made label waiting for you, right? Not the misinformed label, not the incorrect label. No. You get the nuclear option, anti-Semite. And the word gets thrown around so casually now that it's practically lost its meaning. And that's not, I don't think that that's an accident. Okay. That's fucking strategy. All right. That's the first line of defense for one of the most powerful political forces in the United States. Okay, that's a reminder. The pro-Israel lobby. Okay. So I'm not paid by them, right? So I don't need to play by their fucking script. So I'm going to talk about Israel. I'm going to talk about Gaza. I'm going to talk about United States foreign policy and about corruption and about lobbying power that shapes American actions overseas more than American interests at home. Okay. We're going to talk about how lobbying power that shapes American action overseas more than American interests at home. Okay. And we're going to talk about how dissent, which is the literal backbone of a free society, has been intentionally strangled. And you know what? If this conversation makes people uncomfortable, good. Because the truth usually does. So I want to start by laying out what a lot of people in the United States, at least, especially, I mean, in both sides of the aisle, are still majority are refusing to acknowledge openly. Okay. So first off, let's get this out of the way. So what's happening in Gaza is not a conflict. Okay. It's not defense. It's not security operations. It's systematic destruction. It is the kind of destruction that wipes out entire neighborhoods and erases generations of families in minutes. Civilians in this fucking situation are the ones paying the price. You got children, of course, elderly, right? Families who have nowhere to evacuate because there's nowhere left to evacuate to. Go to Google Maps and just go to Gaza. Go look. You can't evacuate from an open air prison, guys. You can't hide from drones that see heat signatures through rubble. You can't outrun a blockade designed to choke off your ability to live, let alone to rebuild. So you got hospitals bombed, aid convoys targeted, journalists killed at record rates, right? Entire districts in Gaza turned into dust and rebar and rubble. And the world watches horrified while American politicians act like they're commenting on the weather. Israel has the right to defend itself. How many times have you heard that? Israel has the right to defend itself. Every single fucking time. Defend itself from what? Fucking starving civilians? Water treatment plants? What, a fucking apartment block of families? Come on. Israel has the right to defend itself. That phrase has become the moral fucking hall pass for every single atrocity, every collective punishment, every operation that conveniently blurs the line between militants and civilians until everyone is treated as fair game. So this is where it's going to start to get twisted. Okay? Because the moment that you call any of this what it is, all right, whether that's ethnic cleansing, war crimes, you're hit with the same accusation. You're anti-Semitic. Oh no! Oh, you're anti-Semitic. News to me. This is literally the political system's favorite trick. Okay, blur the line between government and people. Treat criticism of the state of Israel as hatred toward Jewish people worldwide. And suddenly you can't question foreign policy without being lumped in with bigots and extremists. This cheapens the fight against real anti-Semitism. It hijacks the suffering of Jewish communities for political immunity. And it silences the debate by branding it as immoral. So words are turned into weapons, not to protect people, but to protect power. And the result? A society where truth has to sneak in through the back door because the front is guarded by labels designed to destroy your reputation. So let's zoom out for a minute. All right. And let's talk about something a little closer to home, right? Something a little closer to home. And let's talk about Washington. Okay. So there are lobbies, okay? And then there's the pro-Israel lobby. So there's lobbies here. And then there's the pro-Israel lobby. And that baby's in a league of its own. Okay. So you got money, you got influence, you got pressure networks, donor blocks, think tanks, media ties, political operatives who have turned maintaining unconditional U.S. support for Israel into a full-time industry. Okay. And it works. It works. So look at your voting patterns in Congress. Okay. For the United States Congress. Go look at it. You got bipartisan, automatic, robotic support. Okay. So look how quickly politicians scramble to issue public statements anytime Israel's government snaps its fingers. Okay. And look how terrified, absolutely fucking terrified elected officials are of stepping out of line even an inch when it comes to Israel. And why? Because if you do, your job's done. You're done. Your funding's going to dry up. The smear campaigns are going to launch. Opponents are going to get boosted in your district. You get branded anti-Israel, which is code for unelectable in Washington speak. This isn't representative democracy, people. This is political hijacking. This is policy hijacking. Foreign policy shaped not by American interests, not by American voters, not by moral principles, but by the interests of a lobby with near limitless reach and near limitless. Actually, I'd go so far as to say unlimited funding. So let's give a real world example. Okay. That the world watched unfold in real time. Charlie Kirk dared to question the unconditional support narrative. Charlie Kirk did not call for the destruction of Israel. He did not promote hate. He did not praise Hamas. He simply stepped outside of the approved talking points, right? And instantly, I mean fucking instantly, bam, right? That machine, it fucking turned on him. So commentators attacked him, right? Politicians started to distance themselves from Charlie, right? Donors were applying pressure, pulling funding. Media outlets pounced on it, like, right? And the label got thrown around the moment that they needed it, right? Anti-Semite. That's all it takes. I mean, look, you don't have to be hateful. You just have to ask the wrong question. And you're an anti-Semite. Right? I mean, look, same thing happened to Candace Owens. Right? Once she acknowledged, just simply acknowledged the suffering in Gaza. I'm not even talking about her current investigation into what happened to Charlie. I'm talking about once she acknowledged the suffering in Gaza, the system treated her like she had committed ideological treason. This isn't debate. It's enforcement. So how does all of this connect? Right? It's pretty simple. Once you say it out loud, it's pretty simple. The American public is being trained intentionally, mind you, intentionally, is being trained to believe that unquestioned loyalty to Israel is normal, is expected, and is patriotic. And the media repeats the same phrases like they're reading from a teleprompter controlled overseas in this little country the size of New Jersey. right? Politicians act like support for Israel is a sacred oath. It's a sacred oath. And U.S. citizens are told that caring about Palestinian lives equals terrorism sympathizing. That is manufactured consent. It's not propaganda. It's not just propaganda. It's conditioning. And it's been going on for decades. Americans have been raised in an environment where Israel is always right by default, where Palestine is always the problem, and where asking for accountability is treated as crossing a forbidden line. Democracies die when citizens stop asking questions. And foreign policy collapses when morality is replaced with obedience. So how, right? That's always a question. How? Let's talk dollars. Money talks, right? Billions in aid, year after year. No conditions, no oversight, no accountability. Meanwhile, here at home, Americans can barely afford rent. Healthcare bankrupts families. Veterans sleep on sidewalks and schools crumble, cities rot, but somehow there's always money for Israel. There's always money for weapons, right? There's always money for bombs and missiles and tech that ends up flattening refugee camps. You question that spending? Hey, here comes that label again. Question that spending? You anti-Semite? You better not. It's funny how the same politicians who say we can't afford universal health care, and I'm by no means looking for a promoter of the socialist utopia, right? But it's funny. It's just funny how the same politicians who say that we can't afford something like universal health care never say, they never, ever, 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 ever say that we can't afford sending $14 billion to another country. How come? Why? Well, I mean, ask yourself that. You'll get your answer. You'll get your answer. The lobby, the money, the revolving door between power and loyalty, right? Right. You just have this revolving door of whoever's getting the money is going to be getting the power. As long as their loyalty remains, they'll continue to get the money, which will continue to give them the power. And as long as they're loyal, right? It's this whole thing. The moment that their loyalty becomes is no longer this unwavering support, then all of a sudden, right? We already talked about it. The funding dries up, and the smear campaigns start, and whoever decides to be the opponent and say, "Yeah, I'll bend the knee," will get then. They'll start seeing that money from that same lobby who a year ago said that they back that other person 100%, right? Or last election cycle. So what do we do with all of this information, right? We talk about it. We talk about it. We have to stand firm and refuse to be bullied into silence. We must bring the uncomfortable truth into the open. We challenge the labels that are meant to shut us up. And we remind people that human rights are not negotiable. Not at all. You can condemn Hamas without endorsing Israel's brutality. You can care about Jewish lives without endorsing a government's crimes. And you can want peace for both sides and still recognize the imbalance of power. Morality is not complicated. Politics is what makes it messy. If Washington won't have this conversation, the people will. My whole statement is about refusing to bow to pressure, refusing to let a lobby dictate what Americans are allowed to think, refusing to let corruption masquerade as diplomacy, refusing to let human suffering be dismissed as political complications. This is not about taking sides. It's about taking responsibility. If the United States of America claims to stand for freedom, justice, and human rights, then it's time that our foreign policy started reflecting it. Silence is not neutrality. In the world that we live in, silence is consent. And too many people have died while we have pretended not to see. That's all I have to say about that. Like Forrest Gump. But it's a fact, man, that the imbalance of power is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And there are so many routes of with topics that I want to go down, and I don't want to do every topic solo. I'm definitely going to bring people in for conversation, but I wanted this to be the opening statement for this new series that I'm going to start doing as a live series where the entire goal is to essentially, I want to begin where I think the turning, sort of the quote unquote turning point, right? No pun intended there. The where the turning point for America came into play in the in government corruption and in the modern era, right? And in the technological era, right? So we're talking, from JFK and on, and I want to really just explore this entire timeline of events, of major political events and worldwide events with different wars and expose involvement in that and bring a lot of that to light. And I'm really looking forward to it because I've been doing a lot of research, um, the past few years now, that I've been gone away from these streaming platforms, a lot of it. And, um, it's going to be, it's going to be, it's going to be special, I think. And again, whether people are watching or not, that's not my intent. Uh, my intent is to strictly have it as my own sort of documentation, right? Um, and I guess I mean that in a sense of, like, even if nobody else sees it, I can go back and see it. And that way I can have exactly what I said right there, and it's there just for me. There, I guess it's more for me than anything else. So, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. This concludes my first episode of Foster the Truth. My name is James. People call me Happy. And I hope you all have a great night.